Afternoon. Welcome to episode 4 of the BODcast with Alli and Chris. I'm Alli Covington, creator of Bod by Alli, and this is...
And I'm Chris, CTO, co-founder of Bod by Alli Covington.
Welcome, everyone. So, Chris, there's a lot that's been going on lately. We have some very happy clients that are making some amazing progress. And I think you have been making some real strides in development land and all of that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been up to?
Yeah, so big thing that we've been pushing for the last little while is getting all of this meal planning, meal tracking into the app, getting it updated, getting all the recipes from the PDF meal plan that you had from before, and make good progress in those. We've got recipes in there. We've got most of the recipes are there, and we'll be working on improving the interface of all that, making them easier to follow. We talked today about getting nice instructions in there with like pictures to show all the steps, step-by-step instructions, show all the ingredients.
I'm excited about that.
Right. We want to make it nice and easy for people to follow, easy to use, because it's the whole idea behind the meal planning and all of these meal tracking recommendations is just making it easy to use, right?
Well, making it easy to eat in a healthy way and a delicious way,
right?
That actually works within their goals and all of that, so that they can stay on track. Because a lot of diet plans, you don't know if it's actually fitting in with your workout or not. And a lot of workouts don't tell you how to eat, and a lot of diet apps or nutrition apps or trackers don't tell you what to eat. They just track what you did eat, what you told it that you ate. They're not telling you how to actually eat to get your success and keep it sustainable.
They're not giving you ideas.
Yeah. And since I've been doing this so long, I created all those recipes, and I keep creating a bunch of recipes. And so I'm really excited to do the videos too. That will be really fun.
The videos are going to be a lot of fun. They're going to show people how you go about doing it, because even step-by-step instructions, they can be very helpful while you're doing it if you kind of remember what you're doing, and you mostly know the little tips and tricks and tactics to, being in the kitchen, how to use a knife, how to chop onions, how to chop all these different, how to julienne peppers, and things like that. And so I think the videos, along with maybe something like that, where we have like, a little series of videos that are like, here's how to chop different veggies with different tricks to make it easier, kind of thing. That's probably one of the ones that I've seen people that don't have good knife skills, and they'll try to chop an onion, and they fumble it all the time, and they don't realize there's a trick to cutting an onion where you don't chop it up into pieces. You kind of cross hatch it, and then it just beautifully comes out in nice little pieces. But you got to know the trick to make it work.
To make them uniform. Yeah. Well, and like julienne cut peppers, bell peppers and things
carrots,
like that.
Parsnip.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. So anyway, that's going to be very exciting. And then the other thing that we were talking about today, showing people the future of what the exercises they're going to unlock as they get stronger. That's going to be really fun too.
Yeah, and a lot of people may not realize that there are these other exercises that they don't have access to yet, because they're in the beginning stages of their workout journey, and that there are these more difficult exercises that they're not at that level yet. And I think we talked about also tweaking some of them, because there are some exercises that are probably coming up too early in some respects. And so we're talking about this whole unlocking system where you're going to be able to see, especially with abs, there's a lot of this in the abs and other body weight type workouts, a lot of chest, like push-ups and things like that, and
pull-ups and things like that.
Right, that you can't really do as a beginner, right? Like pull-ups are kind of one of the ones that people strive for. I want to do my first pull-up. And so you'll be able to get to that point. We'll have people doing their lat pull downs, watching their body weight. And once they kind of get to that point, there's going to be a point where we're like, okay, you can start doing some initiating pull-ups where you're not really doing the full pull-up, but you're getting your shoulders to shrug, getting the scapular muscles to contract, and start working your way up to that pull-up and get people that progression until they can do their first pull-up.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to the stuff that's coming out really soon.
Yeah, and we got some other important updates coming too, with being able to, we're getting into having so many features now that I think some of our existing clients don't even know that these new features are there, that they're coming in. And
I guarantee they don't.
Yeah. And so a big idea that we've had today, and we've been talking about lately, is getting more of the UI, having like hints, having help, explaining what things are, why they're there, and just making things more explained, more intuitive as we move forward, as things grow. And this happens with all software development. You start producing new features, and then you realize you kind of got ahead of your clients, where they don't really know what you're producing anymore because you're kind of just deploying things and they don't know that you made changes. Somewhat what this podcast is also for, so we can have this beginning part of each episode to say, here's what's new. But I think building the what's new into the app is going to be very helpful. I know a lot of apps do this, and it's a standard part of any complicated app to do that.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. So what's new in Chris's world in Mexico? I'm curious. You've been having quite an adventure down there.
Yeah, so Mexico has been interesting the last few days. Get some nice runs in on the beach in the morning. It was got some
beautiful.
Yeah, the beach runs are tough sometimes. It kind of depends. I think it depends on time of day, but because like if you run close to the water, it's actually not that bad. It's not far from running on pavement to some extent because it's hard sand.
Right, the sand is much firmer down there.
And then you get a little bit away from the water, and it can be pretty brutal. That sand can be really unforgiving. It's like you go to push, and your calves and your quads are like, this is a lot of extra work.
That's right.
So I try to find the middle ground between the two, and sometimes I'll like waver back and forth.
Right, that's good.
Just down there doing some interval sprints in the morning. Wasn't able to get to a gym today, but picked up a water bottle, 5-gallon water bottle.
How much does a 5-gallon water bottle weigh?
I think it's about 50 pounds.
Okay.
Roughly, because it's about 25 liters. A liter's a couple of pounds, so it's somewhere in that like 45 to 55 pound range. I was doing bent over rows with it. And
one-legged squats would be brutal.
Oh yeah. I did 3 sets of one-legged squats with it.
Ooh, nice.
I did shoulder presses, I did bicep curls, I did bent over rows, one-legged squats, and one-legged deadlifts. Other than that, I did some tricep dips. Just took a chair from my Airbnb, went outside, did some tricep dips on it, did some push-ups, and did some prone crossovers.
Good. Sounds like a good workout.
It was a good workout. Yeah, it was part of that whole. I just seen a post on Twitter. There's like no excuses. You can always find something to work out with. So I took my phone out there. I grabbed one chair, propped up my phone, and I captured each set.
Awesome.
Captured one set of each, and I threw them up on Twitter. And like, here, you want to do a workout? All you need is a water bottle you can get for, what are they, like $5 or something, $10? Because they don't. I mean, there's a deposit on the bottle or something like that. It's just a whatever. It's one of those ones you get at the grocery store. Your 4-gallon water jug or 5-gallon water jug, however much it is. But it was perfect.
Awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been sober.
That's good. That's been interesting, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
clarifying? Is that very clarifying?
Yeah. And it's the kind of thing that you realize that there are important things in life that, like, getting carried away in whatever way it is, with whether it's sugar, whether it's booze, whether it's anything. There's a lot of different things. Gambling. There's a lot of different ways people lose control. And when you start to do that, you're not going to function at your best. You're not going to produce your best work. And how many times do you hear those sad stories about somebody hurting somebody and they didn't want to, they didn't mean to, but they did. And it's
Yeah.
usually because of that loss of control.
Yeah,
So
it is. Well, I'm really
that's
proud
been,
of you.
thank
And
you.
it's just been fun for me to grab your hand and do it with you.
Right. That
I
meant a
was
lot to
like,
me too, to hear like when I think it was after last podcast when you came back on, we talked for a bit and you said, yeah, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to
yeah,
go drive. So we're
I'll
going
join
drive
you
together.
just to help support you in this,
Yeah.
because there's nothing worse than feeling alone and in something that you're worried could be very challenging. And I think in fact, I don't think, I know I told you that in my family, the way I operate, if one of us has a particular need and we need help with it, then we all do it. We all do what we can to help. We're
Right.
family. So like when I needed to take my son off of gluten because he was getting this skin rash at 2 years old,
Yeah.
everybody went gluten-free because mom was making dinner, mom's making the meals. I'm going to make it all gluten-free now.
Right.
And
And
I
everybody
didn't
just
realize
adjusts together.
yeah. And then I didn't realize that I had a gluten sensitivity. So I didn't realize how much
Oh.
energy I could have. And it was a beautiful thing. That
Right.
changed my life because of my mentality of, if it's one of us, then it's all of us.
Yeah.
So it was a very easy decision for me to make to help you because I don't need to drink. So I was like,
Right.
I can do this with you. And
Yeah.
it's been good. It's been good. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. So has it, I mean,
so
has it
far so
been
good. It's
much of any
easy.
different for you
No,
in your evenings?
no,
No?
no. I just drink soda water with lime.
Yeah. That's what, just a little bit of ice and some soda water lime. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just going back to a normal for me because this is probably what I drank for like after I quit all the pop and went through the kind of transition of orange juice and club soda. I've been drinking, I don't even know how long it's been, like 7 or 8 years. All I would buy was cases of cans of club soda.
Hmm.
They're like 13-ounce cans. I had 16-ounce glasses at home, and I would just buy the concentrated lemon and lime juice. Those like real
Okay.
lemon, real lime that you can buy at the grocery store. I just buy those, buy like a couple at a time, and that was my mix for like
You, you
six or
know what?
seven
That's
years.
that's going to be helpful for some people because I have a friend that messaged me saying, I can't seem to quit soda. I thought, okay, so sugar addiction, but I've never really enjoyed it all that much. It was never a thing for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I didn't really know what to say other than just like, I don't know, get off of sugar, man. But that's
that
a
can be the
nice
hard thing.
transition to
Yeah,
step down. Yeah.
finding a way to transition is good, especially getting away from what you would call the hard sugar items. That's your candy bars, all those like M&Ms, things like that, because those are so pure sugar and often high fructose corn syrup type sugar too, which seems to have an extra kick to it. It's not like it's not
You
like
would
eating.
know.
Oh
You would
yeah,
know.
high fructose corn syrup was probably my main nutrient for a good few years in my early 20s. It
Wow.
was not good. I mean, M&Ms, chocolate bars, soda. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that wasn't pure sugar was probably the potato chips. But like when you're eating a
Wow.
big bag of those every day, along with all the sugar, it's just it doesn't matter at that point.
Not hard to see how you can approach 400 pounds, huh?
I like looking back at it, it's like how did I only get to 370? I think it was because at
That's a
that
good
point
point.
I was working manual labor jobs. Like there was a
Mm.
time where I was eating like that, but I was working in a lumber mill, stacking 2x4s on carts.
Yeah. So you
Like
were
you were
lucky you were
sweating.
moving.
You
Yeah.
probably burned 4,000 calories a day at that job.
Sure. Now you were eating 6, but still, or
No,
maybe
I probably
7.
wasn't eating quite as much because we were at work all day. And when I got home, I'd be tired. But I'd buy a burger and fries for dinner, but that might be like 2,000 calories. but I'd burned
Right.
4 and probably didn't eat much during the day.
Okay.
Might eat a lunch that was like 1,200. So like over the course of like 6 or 7 months, I remember by the time I left that job, all the jeans that I had didn't fit anymore. They were fall off. So I
Oh,
had
okay.
lost enough inches that all my pants didn't fit.
Oh, so you transitioned to a different job where you sat down more and then ate all the sugar.
No, after that, I went and installed fireplaces. I installed fireplaces for about 8 months.
So what I'm
And
hearing you say is that you should not be coding, you should be doing manual labor.
see, that worked back then. Yeah. No, yeah, I went to installing fireplaces after that job. That was actually pretty interesting. It was you had to get kind of creative sometimes because you're going up into houses that are unbuilt and you got to get these fireplaces up to like second floors and stuff sometimes. There's not always good stairs.
Ooh,
Because they
ooh,
don't really have the complete stairs in that. Sometimes it's just rickety stairs and you're taking like a 200-pound fireplace up those stairs. Not
wow.
fun sometimes. Actually, the fun ones were when we had to go up on the roof. Because usually when you put a fireplace in like a bedroom, like those 2 or 3 sided fireplaces that go kind of in a master bedroom, they're not up
Hmm.
against a wall. So they go out the roof. And I remember this one job we were on. I had to get up on this roof of this house, and I could only access from the back of the house. And the roof was so high from the ground that we had a 30-foot ladder, 25, 30-foot ladder, and I put that ladder almost vertical. It probably had maybe 2 or 3 degrees of slant to it and caught the top of the roof by 3 inches.
Wow.
And I had to carry this like 1.5 foot by 1.5 foot piece of metal. It was a cover for the top of the roof, plus the what do they call them? The little spinny thing you put on top so it lets the exhaust vent
Oh, uh-huh.
put up because I had to
Hmm.
go put that roof cap up there. Because we just installed the fireplaces, we had the pipe coming out, now I got to put the roof cap on with that ventilator. And so I've got to climb up this ladder with all this shit in my hands. So I got to climb up the ladder without using my hands, vertical, up about 30 feet. And so I had my helper down on the ground holding, there's a rope that goes around the ladder on the extension ladder. And he's
Hmm.
there. He can't hold the ladder from the back because it's too tippy. He's got to hold the ladder from the inside and pull the rope against the middle of the ladder to hold me in.
So you'd go slow.
That was pretty, yeah, going slow and getting over the top of the roof. Getting onto the roof wasn't too bad because once you kind of got up there, you kind of just got over the fear of falling. By the time you're up 30 feet, it's just like if you have a fear of falling, you're already screwed. The hard part was coming down because you start to get near the edge and there's no eave or anything on this house yet. You get to near the edge and it's like all you see is this little stub of ladder over the top. There's nothing for you to hold on to. It's like if you slip at that last moment, you're dropping 30 feet. That was one of those moments where it was just like, okay, clench your teeth, squeeze your butt cheeks, pray for the best.
Yes. Tighten everything you possibly can.
Yeah, I worked on my core strength that day, I think.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
That was
So
the job I found that I did not have a fear of heights.
that's good. So I'm looking forward to Friday. I'm looking forward to
Hmm.
Thursday and Friday getting
Yeah,
getting
what's
the
so interesting tomorrow?
marketing plan
Hmm.
for the
Meeting with
investor that
this
we're gonna,
really cool marketing company.
yeah. And
Hmm.
I'm really excited about it because the ideas that they tossed off the top of their head last
Yeah,
week or the
last
week
week.
before that, they were really great ideas. I loved them. So I'm excited about that. Excited
Yeah.
to have a conversation on Friday with the
With,
investor and see where we
yeah,
can take
see.
it from there.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to
And
see his excitement about this marketing plan. Because when
me
we saw
too.
it, we thought, these are some interesting ideas. This is not just, oh, go build a landing page, run some Google ads, and go to Yelp and get some reviews or something like that, whatever.
Right. Like that's the remedial type of stuff I could come up with.
Right.
I want some inside stuff.
Yeah, you want someone
Yeah.
who's got some creativity, and that's what we saw with these guys. We saw, ooh, you guys have ideas, and this was just off the top of their head. We gave them
Yeah.
one thought, one idea, and they were just like, here's a couple of thoughts. And
Yeah.
if that's what they come up with in one day,
And
what can
like
they
give
come
them
up
some
with?
time to, yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I'm
Give them a
looking
couple of
forward to
weeks.
that. And yeah, So there's some exciting stuff on the horizon there. Super happy about some results that some of our clients are getting, like
What's
especially
going on there?
with regard to gut health. So one that I said we need to do like a gut restoration where
Hmm.
she wanted pelvic tilts because her lower
Back.
back was hurting her, and I just got on the
Yeah.
phone and kind of diagnosed that it really didn't have anything to do with her lower back. It had everything to do with her gut. And within 2 weeks, she's regular for the first time in years. So then we have another
That's gotta feel
client that
really good.
oh,
Like not just
yeah,
for her, but for you too.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
And so,
obviously
and
it
I
feels
mean,
really good for her.
but imagine all the doctors that she's seen
Oh yeah.
that didn't put those things together at all.
And just gave her probably
More
some back pain
medication
medication or something. Well, and
or something else. Yeah.
well, I wonder how many people end up even on like opiates or something because they're like, oh, my back hurts or this hurts or that hurts, and it's
Well,
like,
speaking from personal experience, when I was a senior in high school all the way through college, so from like 17 to 23 for 5 years, I had some such back pain that was
mhm.
referred from my gut. And some days I was laid out. I couldn't move. Other days I just took 12 Advil and
Oh
kept
wow, that's a lot
going.
of Advil.
4 Advil 3 times a day. The doctor said I could take that much over the counter without a problem. So some days that's how I got through college, and I got through teaching as many classes as I did because I was
And do
on
you
my
figure
feet so
that's
much,
because
but I
of
was in a
gluten?
lot of pain. No, that actually was from Candida. I had a huge overgrowth of Candida from all the years of antibiotics
Okay.
my for my cystic acne as a teenager. It
Right. I remember you
completely
mentioned this before.
completely ruined my gut microbiome.
Yeah. And this
So
restoration that we have access to through a third party helps with that a
yeah,
lot.
a lot. I mean, when she said within 2 weeks of starting she was already regular. I thought that's working pretty fast. Now, when I tried it, I didn't have any real issues, so I didn't notice too much of a difference. But I just
Not as
wanted to make
severe.
sure. I just wanted to make sure it didn't do anything weird, or make,
Right.
create extra gas or something like that. And I always try things out on myself before I recommend it to clients.
The guinea pig.
I think it's a good measure.
Right.
Anyway, so that being the case, I'm super happy about that. And that leads into a conversation with a client that I had yesterday who has a really rare autoimmune disorder. She used to
Right.
be on 20 medications.
Oh,
20. Now she started
that's
with
a
us at
lot
the
of
end of
pills to put
March.
down in the morning.
It is. She's down to 4 now, but
Ooh.
those 4 were doing just fine. And as she was eating better and exercising and taking the probiotic, and she was even doing the gut restoration, everything was going in the right
Mhm.
direction. But then she didn't get her medication. And that started a negative cascade. She wasn't eating much. She
Mhm.
wasn't working. She wasn't working out. So we hopped on the phone, and she even got to the point where she was like, I think I'm going to have to stop because I'm not able to do anything right now. And I said, okay, hold up. I said,
Okay.
absolutely, we can stop. That's never an issue, because she was also
But
stressed about money now because she hasn't been able to work. I said, I don't want you stressing about money. I don't want you stressing about anything, because the stress is going to cause that autoimmune disorder to flare up. But
right.
I said, but lots of water, no processed foods, don't eat any processed foods, just
Mhm.
like whole foods, potatoes, meats, lots of water. And she was getting her medication today. And so
That's good.
hopefully tonight she can go back to work. I'm going to check on her tomorrow and see how she's doing, and see if she's starting to feel better. Because, mentally, when your health is not good and you're struggling just to get out of bed and be able to go to work, it's very difficult to maintain a positive attitude about anything.
It is. It's very distracting. And when once one thing starts to spiral down and you think, oh well, I can't do this, so I can't do that, so I can't do this, then you start to feel stuck. And it's that
Yeah.
feeling of feeling stuck that can just the world starts crushing you, and then you're
Absolutely. So when she
And then you're
said,
unable to
I
think.
when she said I need to cancel, I was like, I'm thinking to myself, not you. Like you have been doing so great. She dropped 20 pounds
Hmm.
since you've been with us. And I thought, really? What's going on? She was just so stressed. I said, I just don't want to leave you like this. So, let's talk it through. I want to make sure you get back on your feet. And, if she needs to press pause for a minute, she can. We can pause for membership. That's what we had to do
Yeah.
for another client this morning. Because I said, do you want to cancel altogether or do you want to pause so you keep your rate? Because,
Hmm.
she got some of that like fresh starter rate.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want to pause. I went, okay,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. You can do that. So it's my pleasure. But one of the things that I wanted you to know is how much fun I'm having just getting on the phone and talking to clients, spending 10 minutes here and there talking to
Mm.
clients. There's another one that told me on Saturday night that she was texting me that she was unmotivated. And I thought, what? I'm like, you're so consistent. So I hopped on the phone with her Sunday morning, or maybe it was Friday night. She told me that. So I hopped on the phone with her Saturday morning and come to find out it's just a couple of days. It's just a couple of days. I was like,
Hmm.
you're fine. We all have that. Give
Oh
it,
yeah.
give it a couple of days. You'll be fine. Go back to
Right.
it on Sunday. Everything will
Yeah.
be okay tomorrow. And
Does
then she
happen a
did, and she's
lot.
been
Yeah.
fine.
Oh, I can
Yeah. So,
remember like back last winter, a couple of days. Yeah, you'd have a couple of days that were tough, and then you just kind of push through it, and then you'd get to a good spot, and you'd be like, okay, I'm back to somewhat level ground again. Yeah, dips happen.
yeah. I mean, even a bad workout is a good day, right?
Yeah,
There's
I
no
always
such
try
thing as
to.
a bad workout. It's
No,
just you did it.
when I was going through that, that early weight loss going from, August 2019 through the winter into 2020, I always tried to make sure every day, even on the days, I can remember a couple of days where I was just like, I felt like so unmotivated, kind of almost into that like hopelessness. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go down. I had an elliptical machine in my basement. I'm gonna go down and just do 5 minutes. Not even gonna go hard. Just gonna make my feet move. And I'd go
Mhm.
down and I would just go walking pace, not trying to get my heart rate up, not trying to do anything fancy, just make my feet move and see what happens. And then 5 minutes turned into 10. Then after 10 minutes, I started to pick up the pace. Then my mood started to boost a little. By 15 minutes, I had a 140 heart rate. By 20 minutes, I was up to 160. And then I was cruising for the next, like, I went for like an hour, right? And so I turned like, I don't
Yeah.
even want to work
Mhm.
out. I feel so crappy. This is pointless. I'm just going to make my feet move. Don't try to convince yourself that you're going to do something special, or, oh, if I can't do an hour, it's not worth it. Just go do 5 minutes.
So
And if
that's
you
what I used
still
to tell
don't
my
want to, go ahead.
that's what I used to tell my clients all the time because invariably, guaranteed, just like clockwork, if somebody
Hmm.
started working out in within 2 weeks, they'd get a head cold. They get sick. And then they were
Really?
out for like a week or two. Yep. Every single time I
Hmm.
could set my watch by it. And so what I told them is it's okay. Just show up, get on the treadmill for 1 minute, just 1 minute. And then
Hmm.
if you feel that crappy, get off and go home. But I want you to reinforce the habit that
Of
this
at
is
least
what
going for
you
1 minute.
do, right? Like this is what you do in the morning, or this is what you do after work, and you do it for 1 minute. And oftentimes they just kind of like
Keep
okay, I can
going.
make it for 5 or 10 or 20. They may not have done a full workout, but they at least felt better about themselves, that
Oh
they
yes.
didn't let a little virus derail their progress, that they had mental control over it, and that they could do. At that point they realized I can do this because all I needed
Yeah.
to do was just show up again, even though I didn't feel like it. And it
And
didn't
it's
feel massive. 1 minute.
no,
So just 1 minute, just do 1 minute. And that's all I ask. I just
right.
want
It
to
seems
reinforce
silly.
the habit. I just
Hmm.
want to reinforce the habit that we're doing this, that we're
Yeah.
doing this. That's it. Because
That's
I
why,
know.
like, people would ask, how often did you work out when you first started? I was like 7 days a week. I did
Mm-hmm.
not take a day off. Sometimes it was two a day. I mean, I was only walking back then. I was trying to push, but at the same time, I never took a day off except for one. There was one time in like November when I like pulled a hip flexor so bad that I had trouble like actually walking. Like I had hurt myself.
Yeah.
And that was
Like if you
one where I
can
was
walk,
like,
you can do this.
right. And it was what I was doing was I started doing those like 5Ks at the very beginning, or they weren't even quite 5Ks. And then once I started to be able, once my knees stopped getting sore, I started to go 6K, 7K, 8K, 10K. Those were all pretty
Mm-hmm.
fine. Then I went and really pushed it. I did some 15s. And those were like
Mm-hmm.
3-hour walks. And I did 2 or 3 of those in a row. And I went for one the next day or a couple of days later.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I got out onto the trail and it was like the shooting pain from my hip down. It was down the side of my leg down to my knee. And at first I kind of like, well, I'll just push through it. It's just a little bit of pain, until it got to the point where my knee started buckling because it was so much pain that it was just like a sharp, every time my leg would go right under the midline of my body, it would just sharp
Mm-hmm.
pain down my leg, and it would just, my leg would give out. It was so
Oh,
much, it was so painful that it would just like, the nerves would just spaz out. I had to go into the
right.
woods, get a walking stick. I had to like find a tree limb so that I could use it because I couldn't walk home. I'm like, it might take me a few hours to get home.
Wow.
I was only an hour out. It took me 2 hours to get back.
Well, it's
So
a
I had to
good
go
thing you
back in the
turned
car.
around then.
Yeah, there was no moving forward. I was to the point where I was dropping to one leg. I was like, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to be a badass and all, but not
Well,
today.
there is such a thing as too much too soon.
Yeah. And there was a
Your
little bit of
body,
that.
your body needs to be ready for stuff like that. That's where
Hmm.
training comes in.
And
But I
so
love the
like,
enthusiasm. I
and the
love the
next day,
enthusiasm, and you're not the only person I've had to like rein it in. Like, oh,
uh-huh,
not so much so fast.
you're right.
Hold up.
And I mean, the next day I couldn't do anything. So I'm just like, okay, it sucked because I'd done like 90 days in a row or something like that. And then I
Mhm.
pushed it too hard, too quick. And so I had to take one day off. Then the next day I went to my elliptical because that's a little easier. That doesn't put the strain that walking does. Elliptical's got that motion to it. Went on that thing
Yeah,
for a
there's
couple
no
of days.
friction.
Then I got back on the trail. And it was just like I had to be a little careful with it, but yeah, it was 2 or 3 days and it was kind of fine. Just needed a little. Yeah, and I was right back to like 10Ks. I didn't stop.
Yeah, and then
And it
you
was
went
actually
on to
about a month
50s.
later. It was a month later I did the 50K, my first 50K. After that, or early December 2019. Did a 50K in 12 hours.
Oof. My goodness.
Oh, that was an experience I will never forget.
I bet. I bet. Um, yeah. So I love the psychology of training. So much
Right.
of what we miss, of what the fitness industry misses from what I can tell is the psychology of it. They just say, do this, do that. But
Right.
like,
It's like they take that
yeah.
Nike slogan of just do it too serious, too literally. It's like, sure, just do it. But
Okay.
how about we get a little more in depth here of like how to just do it, right?
I used to have this
That's where the
client.
trainer's supposed to come in.
I used to have this client in the gym, and I would always set the weight for all of my clients
Hmm.
exercises. And every time I set the weight, oh my gosh, especially on a seated row, she'd literally get up, move the weight down by half, like move it up so that it was lighter. And she would say, wimpy, 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 every single time.
Who, the client would say that?
The client, she called herself wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. So I'd set a seated row for what I know she could do, and she'd have it.
Oh my God. That makes it
Mhm.
very easy.
Right. She
Yeah.
was definitely my
To
most
see it
interesting client.
wimpy, wimpy.
And
Wow.
she'd say, wimpy, wimpy, wimpy.
That's a lot of
Mhm.
negative self-talk right there.
It is. And I thought to myself, well, that's why we're here to,
To
to
not be
change
wimpy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
To get stronger.
we're not going to get there if we're constantly
Cutting the weight in
decreasing the
half.
weight. Yeah.
No. And
Yeah.
seated row is one of those that you have to go heavy if you want to activate those muscles. Because you
Yeah.
go light on a seated row and it's just like it's all shoulders. You're not hitting your back muscles if you cut the weight in half.
Or all bicep, right?
Or all
Because it's easier
biceps, just
around your
arms.
shoulders and just do that. Yeah. So I remember she used
See
to
people doing that a
always
lot.
put it at 40 pounds.
Oh
I'd set her
wow.
for like 70 or 80, just 70 or 80 pounds on a seated row, not that big a deal. And yeah, she'd cut it in half to go to 40
Wow.
pounds. And I'm like, okay, who's the
What's
trainer
the
here?
difference, men and women? That's almost, is it like generally 2 to 1 seated row between men and women?
Not necessarily. I mean,
No.
it really, no,
Some
it
exercises are close to 2 to 1, some are different. Like I know legs is not that big of a difference. It's not 2 to 1. Maybe
doesn't
like a one
have
and a
to be.
half.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it
It
really
depends on the
depends on
person
how
too.
well on the person's development. Yeah.
Well, if you're comparing like one top 1% to top 1% sort of thing, comparing
Oh,
like equally on the curve.
I've seen some guys throw up, 8 plates on both sides, and I'm throwing 4.5.
Yeah, right.
That's,
Like a leg press.
but that's not a typical guy.
No, but you're not a typical woman either when it comes to leg strength.
Right. That's true.
You're ahead of the curve a little bit, Allie.
Eh, I've been doing
But
this a little while.
yeah, I mean, and seated rows are one of my favorites. I think I'm getting up close to probably like 180 on that,
Okay.
and that's where you can really feel the back muscles engage. Because I know whenever I started doing seated rows, I was probably closer to 100 pounds, but it was like all like my arms would just tire, my grip strength would tire, my biceps would tire. They just weren't used to it. And then you
Hmm.
get over this curve where those muscles, I think you also learn not to use those muscles as much. There's a little bit of a
Right.
trick to seated row where you don't use your biceps. It looks like you are, because it looks like you're
Right.
doing almost a bicep curl, but then you kind of learn how to just
Not if
get
you're
the back
doing it
muscles in.
right.
You learn how to get the back muscles to turn those shoulders rather than
Yeah.
all the other muscles to turn them. And
Right.
that's when you can, and I would notice my like strength index of those just skyrocket and go from like that 100 to 120 up to like I'm 180 pounds. I'll probably see 200 not too long. Actually, my biggest problem with seated rows now is getting into position.
Yeah.
Is getting the weights back, because once I'm seated and once I've got it all pulled up, I'm good. I can just do my pulls from
You got to
there.
use your
But it's like
legs
got to get the legs planted
and
under
the
the
core,
yeah.
legs
Yeah,
and core.
it's a little
Well,
bit funny. It's like harder to get set up than it is to actually do the exercise.
so yeah, when it starts getting hard there, then you're gonna notice your core weakness.
Right.
It's gonna show itself if it's
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that'll be interesting for you.
Hmm.
So, what else is new and going on?
I don't know. Kind of been steady week, just very
Good.
busy with work, coding
That's
away.
very good. I have had 3 kids start school this week, and I
Yeah.
managed to get all 3 of them to 3 different schools at 3 different times, on time or early. I feel like I deserve a medal for this. And I got them all ready for school,
Right.
right? Like this was
It's almost like you've been a mom
breakfast,
for a while.
everything. I hadn't
It's
I
almost
hadn't
like you
done
have some
this one
experience with
before.
this, Allie.
I know, but I hadn't done this one before. It was like preschool with a special needs kid and like
Right.
making
That was
sure he's got breakfast in him, and then, and it's not like he feeds himself.
no.
So I got to feed him, make his lunch, put his shoes on, all of that stuff. But yeah, it was really good.
And
It was really good.
that's
We've
been
been a
really
little,
cool as well too. He's been doing,
yeah,
you were saying he was doing really well. He was happy
he was
with
happy.
his
Yeah.
first days of
I
school.
I used my workout to help me like get back to my normal yesterday because I was having some
Yeah.
feels and I was feeling
Uh-huh.
like I didn't really want to do it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to work out because I need to. I need to go back to my usual
Mama was having a
routine,
little separation anxiety.
ground myself. He has been tethered to me for 3 years
I know.
by my
Hmm.
side.
He's been your rock for a long time.
Felt
Through a lot
very
together.
yes, we've been through some amazing stuff together. And yeah, he felt
I
weird
know.
to not have him there.
I bet it did. And
Yeah.
it was really
The workout
exciting.
helped. Workout
I
helped
bet.
my emotional state, I gotta tell you.
Those endorphins, they work wonders. One of the best drugs the human body makes.
Not only that, but I think just sticking to the plan. The plan was drop the
Right.
kids off, go work out. go do this, go do that, go do that.
Right.
And just sticking to the plan made me feel more in control. It made me feel like, okay, we're gonna adjust and be normal, right? Just because he's not here doesn't mean we go off the rails. And so just following the plan. And it didn't
Well,
even, I let myself off the hook. It doesn't have to be a crazy intense day. It doesn't have to be super anything. I just need to go and get started.
just get your day
and
started.
then and
Well,
just
it's like what
let
we just
it
talked
take
about,
itself.
right?
Mhm.
Whether it's a client who's just starting out and you're just going for 1 minute, or it's a seasoned trainer who suddenly has a new life situation. It's like, just get out and do your day. Don't
Just
let
do
your
it.
day be different, because then you're telling yourself that this is a special situation, right? Like, this is the psychology of it. It's like, if you do something different, you're saying, oh, I need to put some emphasis on this. Like, no, this is just a new normal. Go be normal.
Right.
And
De-emphasize the
right,
negative. Don't
right. And
emphasize it by giving it more energy.
you give it energy and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. But that's
That's
what
how it
we tend to
works.
do. Well, we humans tend to let ourselves off the hook and make excuses to not do things that are tough.
Yeah.
Right. And so partway through my workout yesterday, I did legs and I was like, okay, cardio's done. All right. The hardest part of the day is done. Whole hardest part of the day is done. Everything else is downhill from here. And then I did walking lunges and I was like, okay, second hardest part of the day.
Those things are brutal. I'm
Walking
gonna try to do
lunges,
those tomorrow.
supersetted with jump rope. And I was like, okay, now the second hardest part of the day is done and
Uh-huh.
everything else is downhill from
Ooh.
here. And when you think about
That's
it,
what my day is gonna be tomorrow.
when you think
Start with.
about it like that, it's like, okay, I want to just tackle it. I want to get it over with in the morning. I want to do it as quickly as possible and then get that hard part out of the way, because then you really do feel like you can handle anything that comes your way. And that's been a recipe for
And
my success since high school.
if nothing does come up with the rest of the day, you just get to relax. If something
Right.
does come up, you're ready for it. If something doesn't, you're ready for that too. It's like
I'm
you're
telling you,
ready.
everything else is smooth sailing. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter what comes up. Everything else is smooth sailing.
I know this guy, he goes hunting a lot. And he would go hunting up in Alaska. And they go to this spot that sometimes they'll go hunting for like 7 or 8 days. It will rain on them the whole friggin' time. And then he'll get back to California and he'll be like, it just makes everything so easy. When
Yep.
you've been out in that miserable environment trying to hunt an elk or a moose or something like that, or bear for like 8 days, and it's just nothing but misery and suffering. And then you get back to, because people who live in California are like, oh, this is just normal. Like, they don't go any place hard. And so they get so soft and used to just, it's always hot and sunny, hot and sunny, hot and sunny. Go someplace
Mm-hmm.
miserable and you'll appreciate that hot and sunny a whole lot more. And he's like,
Yeah.
this is why he's like, that's why I do this. I go someplace hard so that when I come home, I really appreciate all that I have here so much more.
Absolutely. Well, that's like a little piece of it every day with a hard workout.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Absolutely.
make it uncomfortable, tackle the uncomfortable part. And even like when I'm sitting there, and some days it's really easy. Some days I can
Sure.
kill it and it doesn't feel like anything. And other days it does feel like something. And that's when I talk to my body and I tell her how proud I am of her and how great she is and how strong she
Mm-hmm.
is and all of that. And it just, because I'm ramping up through a hill or something on the step mill and I'm
Right.
keeping my heart rate up high for a while. And it's like, okay, this is getting tough. And I look at it and I tell her she's fantastic and I'm super proud of her and I wouldn't trade her for anybody. And I get through it
Yeah.
because
I kind of,
it's not going to last forever.
no.
It's only temporary.
Yeah.
Everything's only temporary.
I had that yesterday morning whenever I was running on the beach. I got I was doing 8 sets of intervals, roughly about 500-meter intervals over 4 kilometers. I got to the third one and my whole body was just feeling sluggish. I was still running a good pace. I was doing like somewhere between 5 to 6 minute kilometers, which is sub 10-minute miles. I mean, I'm running like 8-minute miles at 250
Wow.
pounds. So it's not like this is
That's
easy
really
on the
good.
beach. And so I'm pushing it, but I'm really starting to feel sluggish. I'm really starting to feel the fatigue of it. and I get to the
Mhm.
2 kilometer mark, I take a little bit of a break, a minute or two, kind of walk around a bit, and then I
Mhm.
turn and sometimes I don't know what it is about turning around and being in the home stretch too, where I could just turn and it was just like turn and burn the whole way home. I just ran almost 8-minute miles the whole way back, and
Hmm.
each like 400-meter sprint. But I just sometimes I'll get into a mindset of just like there's the finish line. Like sometimes I'll imagine like I'm in a race,
Yeah.
or I'll try to imagine that like there's something there, something I'm running
Mhm.
for.
Yeah.
Um,
And you just go
yeah,
hurry
or
it up.
run from something, run from a lion, run from a bear. Like,
Mm.
there's crazy ways you can use your imagination to motivate you in a moment.
Maybe running from your past could be one of them.
I mean,
Maybe
and
that'll
maybe,
help
hmm
sublimate some of that stuff.
sure. And just, whatever you can do to find some way to push through. Because what I'll often find is you'll hit these little moments where you want to give up and you don't really want to continue. If you can find
Mhm.
some way to use your imagination or just find something to say to yourself to get through like the next 2 to 3 minutes, especially when you hit that peak of you're like, I'm just about at that breaking point. I want to give up, want to give up. And then you go for like 2 or 3 more minutes. It's like you find a glide and then you're like,
Mhm.
no, I got this. It's like it's almost like you hit this inflection point, and
Like
then things get easier.
that's when the endorphins kick in. That's when the
Yeah,
belief kicks in. That's when it's like, okay, now I'm
it's
flying.
almost it's almost like
You
those
just have
endorphins
to
don't
get to
kick in.
altitude.
Yeah, the endorphins don't kick in
Until
until it gets hard enough.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. It doesn't. They don't. They don't because your
there's like
body
a
isn't.
pain threshold.
That's right. There
Yeah.
is. That's why. That's why I tweeted
Well,
out. I think last year something like, if you're only doing cardio for 20 minutes, you're missing the best part because those
mhm.
endorphins don't tend to kick in until 22, 25, and you can feel it when they do.
Oh yeah. I
It's
remember
like
when I
all
ran
of a
that
sudden you go
marathon.
from, oh man, this hurts
Hmm.
to, oh, this feels kind of good.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that moment. It's like, whoo, yes, there they are.
Yeah, I
Thank
noticed that a lot
you.
running. Running those 5 miles all last summer. Did 5 miles 3 times a week. I'd noticed them right around that 20-minute mark. You'd just get
Mhm.
into it. You'd get like a couple of kilometers or so in, and then it was just like you'd hit a glide, and it would just everything would start to smooth out.
Yeah. So hitting 20 minutes, it's like, well, you're just cutting it off right before the good stuff happens. All you're
Right.
doing is taking yourself through all the pain and not enjoying any of the pleasure that comes from any of that.
Right.
Like, go longer, guys. Go longer, everybody. Enjoy it. But I hear a lot of people say, oh no, you don't need cardio to get fit.
That's the biggest nonsense I think I've ever heard. It's like you can
I
get
mean,
strong without cardio, but you're not gonna be fit.
yeah, exactly. I think
You're gonna have
to
no
myself,
endurance.
okay, what's your definition of fitness then? Because you can't really increase your VO2 max that
No.
way. Not in a measurable way. If you wanted to pretend that a calculation is going to tell you what your VO2 max is based on some research paper that somebody wrote or some study somebody did, it's like, okay, that's cute, but that doesn't actually measure your VO2 max.
And there's a really perfect example of this. I've been a fan of UFC, MMA fighting for a long time, watched a lot of fights over the years, even going back 10 plus years. Way back over 10 years ago, before they really got into all the sports science that they are into today, like the athletes today are
Mhm.
super dialed in on their cardio, on their fitness. It's like they don't just build muscle. But back in the day, you got these guys who had big shoulders, big arms, big lats, and they had punching power. They could like there was this one guy I remember from New Jersey. I forget his name, but he would knock guys out with one punch. He would walk in there and boom, he
Hmm.
would just drop
He's a
guys.
heavyweight Mike Tyson.
Only he was more of a middleweight. He
Okay.
was he wasn't quite. He was probably like 180 pounds. I think he cut to,
Oh, okay.
but he wasn't quite the big guy. He was just shorter, like 5'6", but
Okay.
jacked. His biggest problem was though, guys would start to figure out how to not get hit. Right? They'd learn to dodge his punches, and this guy would
Mm-hmm.
throw bombs, but he would be so exhausted inside of 90 seconds. And these are 3 5-minute rounds. He wouldn't
Right.
make it. He wouldn't make it through the first round. He either knocked you out in the first 2 minutes, or he was done. And he would just get once people started to figure out how to what they called it weather the storm. It was
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh, if he can't hit me for 2 minutes and guys would just get good at dodging, he was done. And this guy just
He was
lost every
fair
fight.
game.
Right.
Yeah.
And he would just get picked apart. It was sad to watch because you get these guys who are not nearly as strong as him, just pick him apart and pick him apart. Because once he's
Mm-hmm.
tired, then he can eat shots. And then you get really exhausted once you start getting a couple punches to the head.
Yeah.
And that was like a huge thing to see the evolution of that sport, because not only is it punching, there's a lot of grappling. And
Mm-hmm.
grappling, if for people that aren't familiar with like wrestling or other types of grappling sports, is extremely endurance related. It's not just strength.
Mm-hmm.
You
No.
need that endurance. It's like those wrestlers, they train a lot of cardio, because when
Yep.
you're doing isometric holds for
For long periods
minutes.
of time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
30 seconds to 2 minutes. You're just holding and if you start to gas out, as they call it, the other guy's
Yeah.
just going to flip you over and win, because
Yep.
all that strength goes out the window once there's no more gas in the
That's
tank.
that's muscle endurance and it's
Right.
cardiovascular endurance,
So, and
which are
in just in
different.
everyday life too. I mean, it's probably made the biggest difference for me. Just going up a flight of stairs,
Oh, no
right? Like
kidding.
I would be
Mm-hmm.
260, 270 pounds after like running all summer. And there will be other guys who are like leaner than me. They look fitter than me. I'd run up the stairs and not even be winded. They'd get to the top and be gasping. And I'd take
Mm-hmm.
the flight. I'd run up the stairs two at a time and think nothing of it, because that's what I do in the step hill. Or he's already used to it.
Right.
And
Right.
so I would just
Well,
cruise up the stairs, and they're like, "You're like 25% body fat." I'm like 12, and you're cruising up the stairs, and I can barely walk them. I'm like, "That's because you don't run your cardio.
that's
Doesn't
right.
matter how fit you are. It doesn't matter how low your body fat percentage is.
Right. There we
If you don't
go.
push the VO2 max, it don't matter. It's a
It
completely different
doesn't.
system."
And it slides very easily. If you don't stay
Yeah,
on
it
top of
does.
it and keep that intensity, it will degrade very quickly.
It does adjust back fairly quickly too. It seems to be
That's what
a
I
type of
mean.
system. Yeah,
Hmm. It
it
doesn't,
wherever it is, its moving average is pretty fast.
it is. It's a lot
Yeah,
faster than people would like it to be. And so the idea that I hear
yeah.
this myth all the time, well, abs are made in the kitchen. No, they're actually made on the step mill.
Ooh,
And
people say
I know
that.
nobody wants to hear that. Yeah, because what they're trying to say is that nutrition is more important for being lean than exercise is. And I'm like, no, Sparky. It's probably more important than just doing ab crunches for sure. But you need the cardio.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you're gonna
it's
really
all
lean out, you
important.
need the cardio.
I've always
It
said
really is.
those posts that are like, no, this is more important than that. It's like they're both. It's like saying your heart is more important than your lungs. Like, what? You need
Exactly.
both. You need both.
Right. The ones that say, oh, it's fitness is 80% diet and 20% workout. I'm like, no, it's like 50-50, but it's definitely 100% commitment to all of it.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it's
you can't
fifty
do one without the
fifty.
other. Like the nutrition is what you're putting in your body to fuel it in the first place.
That's right.
And then you need the demand side of it too, because
Hmm.
if you're putting a whole bunch of stuff in your body but you're not consuming it, you can get things going wrong because you're not consuming what's being put in, so it doesn't get used and it gets stored, and that
Exactly.
causes metabolic issues.
Even
Right?
if
Like
it's good food, it's just harder to overeat good,
good
healthy
food,
food.
right?
Yeah.
But then
But
yeah, and like you'll
you,
see these like athletes who go and eat, they're probably eating good healthy food most of the time, but then they'll go and eat some donuts or something after a competition. And it's like they're showing off to some extent, but like they can kind of do that too because their body's just like ripping through fuel that it almost doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter, but again, like yeah. But at the same time, it's you need both. It's a supply and demand system. You cannot ignore
absolutely.
supply, you cannot ignore demand.
Nope.
They're two
Nope.
sides of the same coin.
That's right. That's right. They
So,
both matter. So
which
yeah,
is why our
there's
app
a
focuses
lot
on
of
both.
fitness. Exactly. Because you can't have one without the other. You can't get where you want to
Mhm.
go without the other one.
Yeah.
Our older clients that have been doing fairly well with their diet, they still need to strength train, especially as they get older,
Yeah.
especially to help their joints. And boy, is it a little bit more tough to get them to start a new habit of strength
Oh, I
training
bet.
later on in life.
Especially if
but
they haven't done it for like 10 years or something,
or ever,
or ever. Well, yeah, that's really hard.
or they're used to doing, I don't know, endurance exercises like walking or cycling or whatever. So it does take a little bit of convincing, but just getting them moving and seeing some success can help. I mean, I'll take once a week. I'd rather have twice, but I'll take once a week over none. That's still
Hmm.
something. That's still moving in the right direction. And if that's all they
Right.
can do, that's all they can do.
Hmm. Right. And that's an important point as well. It's not always about trying to hit some ideal. I mean, we've said this about diet. If your diet's
Right.
far from ideal at the moment, then don't just try to switch to the ideal,
Yeah.
because your psychology is not going to let you. It's going to
Right.
revolt in many ways. It's going to be like, this is way too different, way too quickly. And it's kind of just the way our minds work. We need time to adapt.
Well, our bodies have negative feedback loops.
Yeah.
So when something happens that's too extreme, it pushes back. We hit a negative feedback loop to get back to normal. I mean,
Hmm.
we're trending toward, decreasing entropy, right? Like we want more and more, our bodies seek out order,
Yeah.
not continual disorder. So it's looking to decrease entropy and increase order. No
Uh,
matter what we're doing, whether that's cardiovascular exercise or it's psychology or it's I train too hard and now my muscles are too sore and now I can't move very well. Those are all negative feedback loops that
hmm.
cause
Right.
us to change our behavior because we've gone too far in one direction. Um, so just working within that, right? Just listen to your body, work within that. Don't push too hard too fast. Give your body, give your psychology, give your mind, give your everything a chance to adapt.
Yeah.
Don't
And
throw the
it's
baby in a nice bath, right?
right. And
Let them adapt to things before you shock their system.
right. Yeah. What is that saying about something about boiling frog? It's like you
Mhm.
put it in warm water and you just turn the heat up slowly and it doesn't even realize.
That's right. And that's kind of a great analogy for your body. That's really what you're trying to achieve with your body. You're trying to turn the heat
Hmm.
up slowly so it adapts easily and doesn't fight back.
And then it just becomes normal. I've noticed that a
That's right.
lot. I know in the beginning, because I pushed very hard for like the first 6 months. And I remember how
Mhm.
hard it was. It took, like, my body wanted to, I got that revulsion, I got that pushback, that negative feedback. And it took a very strong willpower to overcome that, to push past
Mhm.
that. It sucked, but it was something
Mhm.
that when you want something bad enough, when you're like, no, I just need to change. I don't care how much this hurts. I will just do it every day.
That's a good
You
thing.
you can push past it. You can push through it. Granted, I was
Sometimes you
not
need to do that.
I was not working at the time, so I could just kind of focus on that. I was not working like in the
Mhm.
early few months. I started working after Christmas. So like the first like 4 months that I was doing it, I
Mhm.
wasn't working. So, and I didn't have kids and I didn't have family and I didn't have, like, when you have all those things, it absolutely gets way more difficult to just do that. I'm going to bunker down and just push as hard as I
Yeah.
can, because then you have nothing left for anybody else.
Right.
And some people don't have that
Right.
opportunity. So then they have to take more your advice of like, okay, let's figure out what you can handle and just
Yeah.
get that curve started.
But the beautiful part is that I think those results really last longer,
They do,
right? There's
because
less yo-yoing
oh
because
yeah.
it was so much more gradual. But the other part is like what you're talking about is almost like detoxing and quitting an addiction of some type and replacing it, like coming off
Hmm.
of a drug. Like you just have to hold on and wait for the body to adapt to what you're
Right.
doing to it and just never go back. It's like quitting smoking, quitting
Hmm.
drugs, quitting whatever. Just hold on. Yeah, your body's going to revolt, but once you get through it, I think sometimes that's actually a really good thing, because then psychologically you will really not want to go back to anything like that again and have to go through it again.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you can remember, I hated this. I hated
Yeah.
this. This is kind of what we talked about with, like, don't go back to sugar, because you don't
Oh
want to,
yeah.
you don't want to bounce back up and then have to go through it all again. Go
No.
through the missing the sugar, go through the weight loss all over again. Just once you get to your goal, once you get to your weight goal, your whatever, getting off
Yeah.
of sugar, any kind of
Well,
detox goal, just don't
mhm.
go back, because that's where psychologically we start to mess with ourselves. We go, look at how much room I have now. I can afford a little bit. It's like, yeah, but it's a slippery slope.
Oh
Is
yes.
once you do a
Very.
little, you'll start to do a little bit more, and that
Well,
becomes
you
too
trigger those
much.
habits that you used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start
Better to
triggering those
just
habits,
better to make a
then
rule to just stay away unless it's a special occasion.
right. Yeah, it's probably important to mention that too, of unless you have like super bad types of addictions where it was like really hard to get off of, it's never it's you know, you don't want to say never to yourself because you kind of mess with your own head that way too.
Yeah, that's
But
true. As soon as you say, I'm never going to do X again, then you really, really focus on X and
and you
again.
right, like I'm never going to eat sugar again. I'll never say that because I know I will, but I'm going to
And
make it something like somebody made a nice dessert, a dinner, or something along those lines, where it's not every day. It's like
right. It's a special
Thanksgiving
occasion.
dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody makes a pie at Thanksgiving or something at Christmas. Like then you can actually have those special occasions where you're with, it's a good type of thing when you're with other people
Yeah. And
because those
especially
were
if
those are
it's
where you're
not
going to
kept
enjoy
in
them,
your house.
right? Like the worst thing is you're eating candy that you're eating at home alone and you're just kind of stuffing your face to make yourself feel better.
Ah,
That's where it
yes.
gets the negative. That's where it's self-destructive.
Dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Those are a little safe things that you can do to help keep yourself from sliding back toward an addiction.
Yeah.
Right. With my kids, their dad lets them have a bunch of sugar. So I said, you know what, we're going to do a sugar detox and we'll have sugar on special occasions, but we don't need it every day, guys. And I don't eat it. I don't eat sugar anyway.
No, you rarely
Um,
do. I think the only time I
yeah,
saw you have sugar when I was visiting was just those lava cakes that you made. I
I
think that
hadn't
was
made
it,
those in at least a decade.
right?
Yeah, because they're dangerously good.
They are so good.
Oh,
They're just like these
yeah.
little balls of like molten chocolate surrounded by fluffy cake and coated in sugar crystals.
Complete indulgences, like me and mimosas. Complete indulgences. Like, I will
Uh-huh.
probably regret this tomorrow, but since I rarely
Eh,
do this, we're gonna do
once in a
this
while.
today.
Yep.
Yeah,
It happens.
which it happens. Yeah, and then you go, yep, that happened. It did. I'm okay with it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought you were gonna trigger me. You said you were gonna trigger me during episodes. I'm not feeling very triggered today. Are you taking it easy on me? You're gonna
I
trigger me with
probably
all these, like, fitness myths, so I get all up in arms about, stupid people saying dumb stuff that has been debunked for a long time, or they just don't have any science behind it. But
well, I mean, the fun one to always go to is hip thrusts because they're all the
stop.
rage these days. I did see
Ugh.
somebody doing a hip thrust the other day where they were doing it looked closer to what we do in the hamstring bridge. They were
Yeah.
doing it was one-legged and they were putting like a plate on top of their thigh, but they still had their
Uh,
back against the bench, not on the
okay. On
ground.
top of their thigh. Thigh I can kind of get behind. The
It
getting it
wasn't a
putting
bar
it on
across the pelvis.
putting it on top of their pelvis or on top of their hips is what gets me the most, because I'm like, do you understand physics where the where that weight is going down and what muscles are actually going to have to be holding that weight up. Do you like your lower back at all? Because oh, but I have seen some really interesting ones in the gym. There have been some very interesting looking women. And I say interesting because of their attire. And it looks like they're, out for Instagram glam. Ooh,
So
is that a thing? Is that like a word
Instagram
now? Instagram glam? Did I just make up something, or is that a thing?
Instaglam?
I don't know. Anyway, never mind. But they were doing this kind of like, it was the strangest thing. I saw them and they were like trying to do this like one-legged, it looked like it was supposed to be a one-legged deadlift, but they had their other foot on the ground behind them, and they were keeping the dumbbell really close, and they were going down and then up. And all I could think was, this is another hip thrust thing where you're just trying to look sexy and, flaunt something to make the guys notice you in the gym. Because I could not for the life of me figure out what the heck they were doing. I couldn't.
Yeah.
For the life of me. Couldn't figure it out. I was like, what is that working? And I just rolled my eyes and went back to whatever I was doing.
It's closer to a stretch.
That's what it looked like. But they were holding dumbbells. Big ones.
Holding dumbbells, trying to do because what you were just showing me looked close to a single-legged deadlift. Except they had 2 feet on the ground, which is not single-legged at that point.
And it was a staggered stance, and it was more of like this sexy, like reaching down, the arched back, and then coming up. And I'm going, and of course you're doing it right in front of the dumbbells so that all the dumbbells can watch the dumbbells.
The dumbbell can watch the dumbbell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Well, I mean, just about everything I look at on Instagram seems to be just how much attention can I get? It's just like, it's a very weird platform. So I don't have too much to do with it. It's like a couple of people I follow that post some interesting stuff that is, that I want to see when they put out. Other than that, I've blocked and just muted so many accounts I can't even remember anymore, because it's just like it makes it not even enjoyable.
I don't go on there much anymore. Yeah. I mean, my hairdresser puts up some really funny memes, and that's, always entertaining. But other than that, and my friends putting up just family stuff, because I don't go on Facebook much anymore. But
there's like I think the biggest things I follow on there's like a couple of hunters that I follow who post stuff. They do hunting and fishing trips. Some MMA fighters that I follow. Other than that, there's not much.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah. So that's the funny stuff I see in the gym.
In that gym, you usually don't see too many quirky stuff, but I guess I was there in the spring, and there wasn't the funny people coming out so much. There were a couple.
I still see the women who show up with their hair done and their makeup on and doing their hip thrusts, because they bring their own pad to put across the bar to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Those were always the one. Yeah. The women who show up, and it looks like they're showing up to almost go to like a dance club, but they're at the gym working out. And it's like, you're purposefully trying not to sweat, but it's like they're trying to find this fine line between looking like they're working out, but not sweating so much that they smear all their mascara and stuff. Because you see them and it's just like, that's a lot of makeup on your face. You start sweating and you're going to look like a clown who just got doused with water or something. It's like, this isn't going to look pretty.
But then again, they could just be fake eyelashes too. Those just could be extensions.
It's like the face and everything too, like blush and all of that. It's like, what happens when that forehead starts to sweat?
I don't know. It's funny though.
That's where that funny joke comes in about like, some women these days, you got to make your first date a trip to the pool. Find out what she really looks like.
That's hilarious. And I'm over here like needing a special occasion to put on makeup because I'm not going to bother most of the time.
You almost never wear makeup.
Not anymore. Nope.
Yeah.
Just for business meetings now.
Well, and I gotta wonder how unhealthy is that? Like
Well,
pores and like is like wearing
it's
that
not
much
good.
makeup from early on and then through your whole life. And then you almost have to when you're older because now your face has had all that makeup on for that many years. That can't be good.
I don't think that that it ever becomes a point where you have to, but I
But
wouldn't think it's good for your skin to be wearing makeup and sweat.
oh,
I
that's
wouldn't
gotta
think
be the
it's
worst.
I wouldn't
Because your
think it's
pores are trying to open
good.
up.
Okay, well, pores don't have muscles. They can't open and close, but your skin swells. Yeah, and
Okay.
sweat is coming out and whatever's on is kind of maybe going in. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't wear makeup because I really don't want to have the makeup on my towel because I sweat like crazy.
You know, you actually work out at the gym.
Well, I thought that's what I
Funny
was
enough.
there for. I don't know.
Yeah. Some people you just
Silly
wonder. It's like,
me.
right. Yeah, I
Oh,
would
I'm
notice
so
that. That
silly.
yeah, when I would go there, I would look around and it was like some people were getting a good sweat, but probably
Mhm.
not most. But I think
Yeah,
that's
some of the
a lot of people you'd see they take these like 2 minute breaks between sets.
yeah.
So they sit around for like 60% of the time. They do a 1 minute set and then sit there for 2 minutes. They do a 1 minute set. It's just like, you know what? You spend an hour and a half at the gym, but you only work out for half an hour.
Right.
And then they're like, and these are the same people who are probably like, cardio is bullshit.
Right.
Whereas like our
Mhm.
program is all supersets. Right? It's like you do
Right.
push-ups and then dips, and then push-ups, dips, push-ups, dips. And then you
Hurry up and
do
get it done.
walking
Yeah.
like you did today, walking lunges into jump rope, walking lunges into jump rope. There's no
Mhm.
breaks. Like
Right.
you go from one to the other to one back and forth, and then you just go to the next two sets, the next two sets. That's
Yep.
how I did all my stuff today. I did, you know, single-legged squats and single-legged RDLs. I didn't take breaks between them.
Right.
I
You
just
don't need
switched
30
from
second breaks.
no, I might take a short break to get some water, wipe the sweat off my face, then just get back at it.
That's
Do some
right.
supersets. And I mean, I never did that whenever I worked out when I was in high school because that was the thing. It's like, oh, well, you got to take at least a 90-second break between sets to let your muscle glycogen recover.
Yeah. For that muscle,
Right.
it's going to recover while you're doing the other set.
Uh huh. Yeah. Because like the single legged
Ta-da!
squats don't work your hamstrings.
Well, a little bit, but doesn't really
A
work
little
your
bit.
calves. Calves are stretching. So you can now
Right.
go do a calf something, or you can
Right.
work in completely different muscle group. Mhm. I know
Yeah.
it's part of my protocol, part of my methods, the method to my madness. But it's also how you can get leaner faster
Because you're
without
getting a
having
cardio
to
workout while you're, I would do
your
some of like
while you're
doing our
strength training.
workouts, doing our bod workouts, doing like a 30-minute step mill, then combined with like a leg day.
Whew.
I'd burn like 12 to 1300 calories in an hour and 20 minutes,
Yeah, I
hour
burn
30
800.
minutes. Yeah. And some days, if I really pushed it, although I couldn't do this all the time, I get close to like 900 to 1,000 calories an hour. That's me as
Yeah.
a guy at 260 pounds, but
Yeah, you weigh almost twice as much as I do too. And I'm
right.
burning
I'm like
um
250 now, but I mean, I'm 250 and I'll probably not lean down to much more than 210. Like that would be
yeah.
almost kind of shredded for me. I probably got like 45 to 50 pounds of body fat on me, maybe like
Mm-hmm.
50. So if I lost
Yeah.
40, that would be pretty lean.
Yeah.
Any leaner and you're talking like competition shredding, which you
Right.
don't do all the time because that's just
No.
crazy. So
Well,
like, yeah,
and
I've
not
got like 40
healthy.
pounds to lose. So it's not like I'm getting much lighter than what I am.
You're getting close to the end, and I'm super proud of you.
I know it's gonna be it's gonna
You've dropped
be
120 pounds. You've dropped
mhm.
almost an entire alley.
I've lost an alley and gained an alley.
Oh my gosh. You're super silly. But no, I'm super proud of you.
Yeah.
There's very few people that I'm that proud of because
Thank you.
I know the toughness, the mental toughness that it takes to be on that journey and stick to it. You
Those
didn't have a
definitely hard
workout
parts.
partner. You didn't have a workout partner through any of it.
No.
You had me, but I didn't
Had
work
a
out with
coach.
you. Yeah.
I didn't have you even like for the first 6 months. It was
And
just me.
you didn't need one. So when people
Hmm.
go like, oh, I can't work out without my workout partner, I'm like, I have never had a workout partner. I don't
Nope, I've
want
never
one.
either.
I don't like working out with somebody else.
Well, you
It
see,
slows
and
me down. It's distracting. It definitely slows me down.
yeah, every time I see people in the gym with workout partners, one person's standing there watching, the other person's working out, and then they'll
That's
swap
right.
back and forth. And this is that, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and rest. It's like,
While you
why?
work. Yeah. No.
No, no, I
Yeah.
don't think I would ever work out with a workout partner either because it's just it was kind of there's like sometimes I guess it's like, well, no, not really. I mean, even if you're getting into heavy squats and stuff like that, it's like, well, so don't lift so heavy that you need someone to spot you. It's like you don't have to get
Right.
that crazy. I mean, if you really want to do a powerlifting thing, that's a different program. If that's where
Right.
you really want to go, then you're working a completely separate program. If you just want to be healthy and fit, you don't
Yeah.
need a workout partner.
Well, and the other thing is, I mean, that we're having a workout partner is more limiting than one could imagine because of scheduling and things like that. But I think there's a real value in maintaining that mental toughness and stability yourself without needing somebody else to provide it
Mm,
for you, without the crutch of motivation from
right.
someone else. And finding that self motivation is very freeing. It creates a sense of independence that you don't have any crutches. No
You
one
don't
can take
need
this
somebody
away
else.
from you.
Right. Because if
Yeah.
you're always depending on somebody else to motivate you, when what happens when that person's not there? Your
You're
motivation's
searching for
gone.
another. You're searching for another. Yeah.
You're
It's
not going to
just
find it
like,
within yourself. Like when I
right.
grabbed that
It's
water bottle
what it's
today,
when's the next hit? When am
right?
I going to get the next hit?
Right. I didn't like call you and be like, hey, how do I do a workout today? I can't get to a gym. I saw the water bottle. I'm like, that weighs a lot. Bet you I can figure some shit out with that. It's got a handle. I can grab the sides of it. It's like, cool. Let's see what I can do with this. And I just took kind of our home workout that I did for
Mhm.
months in the beginning and said, I can improvise with this. Did some shoulder presses. The bicep curls were probably the trickiest because
I
it does
bet.
have a handle on one end where the spout is, but the other side
Mhm.
doesn't. So I kind of had to
And it was
almost
probably
grab it
too
like a
heavy for one arm,
way too heavy for one arm because it's probably close to 50 pounds. I can arm
and probably
curl
too light
30.
for two arms, but you could hold it by the
It was
ends
pretty
and
good.
just do it like that, more like a hammer curl.
Something like a hammer curl. I kind of like got it into my forearms almost. So I would get it down to my hands at the bottom. But then when I curled up, it wanted to come up into my chest. So I kind of had to, it was a little awkward, but I mean, I took like all the videos, I
So,
recorded one set and put them on my Twitter.
so tomorrow, just hold one end of, each end of the bottle. Like you're
Hmm.
holding, like picture it like one massive dumbbell, like you're just holding the end of the dumbbell and gripping around the side and just hold it like that while you do your bicep curls and your shoulder presses so that it doesn't roll on your forearms. It's going to like your grip strength is going to
Yeah,
improve
I
tremendously.
could do that for the shoulder presses. I'll give it another try. I think I tried to do that with the bicep curls in my first set, and it was either like slippy or it just wants to. Once you get it kind of curled up, it kind of wants to um, flip on you to
Because
some
because
extent.
the
It's
water is
awkward.
what
Yeah,
did you have it completely full so that the water wouldn't
90.
slosh around?
It's
Okay.
98% full. Yeah,
Okay, good. That's important because if it was
yeah.
partially full, then that water is gonna
Oh, it
that
wouldn't be
weight is
nearly as
gonna
heavy either. Yeah,
displace. Well, and the
yeah.
water is gonna displace and make it much harder for it to stay in place.
No, there's all of like maybe a liter of water taken out of it the most.
Okay,
So it's like
good.
pretty full, but no, it was good. I mean, the single-legged squats were hard. I
I
think whenever I
bet.
watched the video on the single-legged squats, I was hinging way more than squatting. I
So it was
started
more
to
of a
notice,
deadlift.
yeah, I was almost deadlifting because I noticed that I was bringing my body down more than I was bending my knee. When I
Mm,
looked at it in after the fact, I'm like, yeah, that's probably a bit too heavy, and that's why I'm not going down with my knee because
yeah,
it was just too much. It's almost like I said, the thing's almost 50 pounds. When
that's
I
a
do
very
single
heavy
legged
single.
squats, I usually use like
So
a 25-pound dumbbell.
do them tomorrow. Do them at the end, and dump some water out. Make it lighter.
Um, I could do that.
Mhm.
and refill it.
I mean, you can adjust the weight on this thing. It's just a matter
Right.
of
It's kind of
adding
my
more
drinking
water into
water
it.
too. And I don't use, I mean, it's like don't drink the tap water in Mexico sort of thing. So I don't want to refill it with
Oh,
tap water.
okay.
I
Don't do
don't know.
that. But
Well, yeah, it doesn't
like,
matter. I'll figure it out.
do whatever you need the heaviest weight for first, do those. And you can
Yeah.
save your one-legged squats for later in the day after you've had half of it or something.
I think what I want to try to do tomorrow actually is some walking lunges with it. Kind of like,
Oh, that'll be fun.
yeah, barrel. But I figure I can put it up against my chest and just like kind of
Mhm.
hold it like maybe even hold it upright. It'll be kind of hard. Or maybe I'll hold it sideways. We'll see what works. It'll be
You could do
awkward.
some really deep plie squats with it completely full. Just do a whole
Yeah.
lot of those
Yeah, I might
and
mix
hold
that up
on to
tomorrow.
it. Just hug it really tight
Hmm.
and just go to town for those.
Yeah, I think I might go through our exercises and see. The hard one, I can't really do anything with triceps with it. Because it's like
You'd have to really empty it out to
I'd
like
have to
do a
really empty it
tricep
out, like almost half.
extension.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tricep extensions, I'd have to at least dump half of it out. I could probably do that. I can do like 30
Or
pounds in both arms.
drink half of it out and just save a couple of exercises for after you've had more water in the day
Sure.
when it's half full
Right.
and then do.
Yeah. But
Nothing
I
says
just
you
did
can't
dips.
pause it.
No, I just
That
did
works.
dips. Yeah,
That
dips.
works.
I love dips.
Dips are
Dips are one of my
great.
favorites. I
Dips
just
are
have these
awesome.
chairs that I'm sitting in. They've got like just a perfect, almost perfect height on the arms for like these nice
Awesome.
wooden chairs. Yeah, and they just made like a perfect bench dip.
I love
Threw
it.
them in, superset those with some push-ups.
Ooh, you know what you should do with that? Hug it really tight and do some crunches on the floor.
Hug the water jug.
Hug the water jug up at your chest as far back toward the head,
Do
toward your head
crunches
as you
with the weight.
can. Yeah. And then as you drink the water throughout the day, go and do some more sets, but gradually extend your arms back over your head, holding on to it. So you're increasing the lever and
Right.
you're holding the weight at the very end of your lever over your head. And that's
Hmm.
gonna really kill your abs. You're gonna love that.
Oh, I bet it would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing that,
You're
I did the prone.
welcome. Hey, maybe I should add in a new video for those. I haven't done those in a while. I used to do them in my classes a long time ago when I would
Doing
teach.
crunches
And
with
just,
your arm over your head.
yeah, just putting your arms over your head is hard enough because usually we put our
Yeah.
hands right around our ears and people
Yeah. I
yank
think I
up. But
usually put them like somewhere around my shoulders. Yeah.
yeah, I used to like lock my hands like this and then rest
Hmm.
my head in my arms and crunch that way. You'd be
Right.
amazed
It gets that extra
at
leverage.
how heavy those hands can feel when they're
Well,
an
especially when they're far
extra
away.
20, when they're an extra 15 inches or
Yeah.
12 inches beyond your head. And then you can hold light weights. And woo, in fact, I'm inspired. I'm going to do that tomorrow for my back and abs workout. Just going to add that in. Maybe I'll
And
take a video of it while I do it.
then you're getting closer and closer to the bod buster because that's kind of where we go with that.
It is. It
The
is a lot where we go with that. It'd be a
Yeah.
nice one to add in there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit of a
that
progression.
bad bod buster. Whew.
Yep. Overhead
It's like the
pullover with a
pinnacle.
leg lift and a crunch. It's like 3 exercises in one.
It's the pinnacle of, I mean, I still get sore
Oh yeah.
every time and I've been doing it for years. I don't ever see anybody else in the gym doing them.
No.
No.
Don't know how close I am to doing those. I mean, I can do good overhead pullovers. I can do the leg lifts, but trying to combine all of that and a crunch all at the same time. Yeah.
It's a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
work on that.
strength.
Getting to the
Yeah.
prone crossovers. I've just got to those lately. Prone crossovers and
Those are
pop-ups.
fun. They're nice,
Yeah,
aren't they?
they are.
Yeah.
I think I struggle with them a little bit, only because I've still got kind of the extra body fat and the flexibility. Kind of makes it a
Mhm.
little tricky to bring my legs up under me
It'll
like
get
that.
there.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Mhm.
It'll improve over time. The strength, the flexibility, and the belly will improve over time. The body fat.
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's the part that's probably gotten like I bet you I'm hmm?
Go ahead, finish.
Yeah. You must have dropped like almost 12 inches
Nice.
at least.
Very well done.
Yeah, like I don't even remember what pant size I had before, but they were well over 50 inches. I buy like a 42 now and they don't fit. I think I have 42
Good,
jeans and they don't fit.
good.
Not that I'm
So
wearing
now
jeans in Mexico.
now you need some like 38s or 36s.
That's probably when
You'll
I'll
get
buy
there.
jeans again, when I can fit into like a 36. I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. So my
So
battery is dying and I think we're gonna need to wrap it up.
yeah, I think this has been a good one. This has been
Yeah,
lots of good updates, lots of good progress, just in lots of good life. Life's being very
and
good, very beautiful.
it is. I love this. I love seeing your sunsets on Twitter.
I'm gonna miss it today because the sunset's in about 7 minutes, and it takes me about 10 to get to the beach to get a good spot. So
Okay.
tomorrow night I will venture off to the beach again, grab a sunset, and post them away because I like
Sounds
posting them.
good. Well, I'm sure the next podcast that we do, maybe it's going to be on Sunday, we'll have lots of fun updates because we have a great
Yeah.
rest of the week ahead of us.
Yeah, we'll have all of our updates. We'll have all the news on how Thursday and Friday goes, and
Mhm.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
Well, you have a good night. Good night, everyone. Thanks for
bye
listening to
bye.
episode 4.
Have a good weekend.
You too.